Okay, I think I'll have to start back the recording afterwards. Well, I'll start the recording. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to those of you who are here. I am Dr. Melissa Tranquille, life coach and founder of Peak Living with Mel. Tonight's webinar will be discussing the PEST Factor, which steals both your time and productivity. For those of you who are here, do you mind just typing in the chat box if you can hear me? I'll appreciate it. If you can find your chat box, it's supposed to be somewhere at the bottom of your screen. So we get right on to it. Yes, so I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to invite you to take notes. If you have any distractions, to remove any distractions and give this your full attention. And from time to time, you'll be invited to participate via the chat box. So it would be great if you could use the chat box. I want to welcome you tonight. You're in the right place if you want to learn how to increase your productivity and get more done. If you are open to learning about how to better manage your time, or if you consistently struggle with what I call the PEST Factor. The PEST Factor is an acronym that I developed called procrastination, excuses, self-sabotage, and TimeStealers. And these are some of the things that steal both our time and our productivity. However, if you're someone who you think you already know all there is to know about time management, then perhaps this training may not be as beneficial to you. Or if you're someone who believes that you have a fixed mindset, as the famous Carol Dweck explained, the fixed mindset where you believe you cannot change and that's how you are, then you will not be able to get any value out of this training. But I do hope that for all of you who will participate tonight, who are here tonight attending this training, that you will be able to get some value out of it. And I want to start by asking you some questions. I want to ask you, and please, I'll appreciate it if you can put your answer in the chat box. How many of you sometimes get overwhelmed by the amount of things that you have to do? I know for myself, I can say, yes, sometimes I do struggle with overwhelm, and that is why time management is so essential. How many of you have struggled with procrastination or even perfectionism? Type yes if you struggle with procrastination or perfectionism. How many of you get easily distracted by telephone notifications, phone calls, emails? Or how many of you can admit that there is room for you to become even more productive? I think all of us fall into that category. Even when we think we are doing so well, there is always room for us to learn more. There's always room for us to improve and to make even more efficient use of our time. You know, as a matter of fact, the time has come for us to instill changes in our lives. Now, some of the changes that we might need to instill will pertain to less clutter around us, less disorganization, reduce stress and pressure, a more balanced life. You make time for the things that you love and you complete some unfinished projects or begin a long-planned new one. What all these things do as an aggregate is that it can help you to be more productive. Imagine if you have a life that's totally disorganized. Imagine if you suffer with stress and pressure because of bad planning, poor goal setting. Imagine if your life is out of balance. If your life is out of balance, then you definitely will struggle with stress and anxiety. Then certainly it will affect your levels of productivity and the quality of work that you will produce. You know, for many of us, we've read books on how to improve our productivity and how to better manage our time. And truly, books are an excellent resource. I love reading myself. But one of the disadvantages of using of relying solely on books is that by the time you're through reading it, you don't even know where to start because you're overwhelmed with so much information, and the books alone won't really work. Some of us we've pursued courses on how to, improve our time and productivity. But it's wonderful for information, but for long-term transformation, it can be very difficult getting the assistance that we need and the accountability that we need to make the changes that we need to change, to make the sustained changes that we need to make. And the truth of the matter is, life gets in the way. There's just so much for you to do and take care of that sometimes it's really hard that you can't help making the excuses and procrastinating. How many of you have fallen into that category where life has gotten in the way? Just type yes in the chat box. I'm not sure if the chat box is working. It's working on my end. Oh, great. Great. I'm finally seeing the responses. I thank you. Thank you for responding. I see that we have a few more participants that have joined. I want to welcome you to tonight's webinar. For some reason, I wasn't getting the responses, but they're now coming up. Wonderful. So let's continue. You see, I understand when it comes to time management and productivity because I've been there. To be honest, I've pursued 2 postgraduate degree programs whilst working, trying to lose 20 kilos, managing 4 kids and a family. And on top of that, I know that in order to stay on top of everything, in order to manage my exercise routine, keep the family balance, work and perform effectively at work, be there for the children and manage the home, I had to learn how to increase my personal productivity and get more done with the time that I have. So I was forced in a good way. Yes, I have done personal management courses where I've learned about time management, but the practical side of it is what helps you to really develop sustained changes in your life. And I understand what it means to be overwhelmed, what it means to be under pressure, and that you certainly need to make certain changes in your life so that you can be more productive and get more done. I have a combined professional 50 years experience of working as a teacher, a freelance training consultant, and an assistant human resource manager. And again, working in these fields has forced me to focus on my productivity and time management skills. And I'm really excited to be teaching on this topic tonight. How many of you are excited? Just type yes in the chat box if you're excited tonight. I want to invite you to get your pens and papers out. You're free to take any notes and just remain focused. And I hope that you will be able to get some value out of today's training. So we're going to address the PEST factor, which prevents you from being more productive and getting more done. I'm sure you love my photo here of this grasshopper. Definitely, it can be a pest sometimes. What we'll be covering today, what is time management? We'll be covering the PEST factor that steals your time. We'll be looking at some of the tools to overcome the PEST factor. So let's begin. What is time management? Now, time management, as we all know, is a very essential topic. And I just want to interject a little story here to demonstrate the importance of time management in your professional life. And the thing about time management, which I will get more into during the training, is that it's not only essential for your professional life, but for your business life and your personal life, for you as a person. There was this study conducted by an American expert called Dr. DeWood. And my source is from Christian Godefroy and John Clark. They have a wonderful book on the complete time management system. And this American expert, he conducted an in-depth study of corporate executives. And the results from that study revealed that for all the executives who lacked time management training, and the majority did, because the funny thing about it is that time management is something that some of us do not see as necessary to pursue training in, whereas it impacts our life in such a significant way. But anyway, getting back to his study, he discovered that 49% they spent time on tasks that could be done by their secretaries. 5% spend time on tasks that could be delegated to their subordinates. 43% spend time on tasks that could be delegated to their colleagues. And these executives spend 3% on tasks at their optimum performance. They spend 3% of their time performing the tasks that really needed to be done, that impacted the results that they wanted to get in their business. So the question we ask ourselves is, if we spend so little time on the tasks and the activities that really matter, how are we going to be highly productive? How are we going to attain success? How are we going to stand out? How are we going to achieve the goals that we desire to achieve in life? You know, I want you to consider this. What is your concept of time management? Have you ever given that some thought? Because your concept of time management will influence how you use your time and how you value your time. Do you believe that time management is just about managing your time? Do you believe that time management is about getting as many things done as possible? Or perhaps you believe that it's about completing everything on your to-do list. And I have heard some of these reasons being given by others. But time management is not just about managing your time. It is also about managing yourself and what you do with your time. Because if you don't manage yourself and what you do with your time, what are some of the things that can happen to us? Certainly, we'll be inefficient. We'll experience a high work backlog because of lack of planning. We will become overwhelmed and stressed. And perhaps some of us attending the training today are experiencing just that. We will always have a tendency to be late. We will be indecisive about what task to complete. And for many of us, I believe all of you today have heard about the Pareto principle, the 80-20, which I will get into later. We will be focused on the wrong task. Like the example I gave when I started out the webinar with the study of the corporate executive, where we focus on the 80% and we do not pay sufficient attention to the 20% that will really give us the results that we need to get. If you don't manage your time properly, you struggle with procrastination. You will lose your motivation. And overall, you will not make any progress in life. And the thing about poor time management is that it has a snowballing ripple effect. Let me give a practical example. Let's consider a manager or an employee, or perhaps you're an employer, or whatever the situation, but you put in so many hours of overtime. You're always working late. You have a family, and consequently, you have not been able to spend sufficient time with your children. Your kids begin to miss you. Then you have a breakdown in your marriage or your relationship because you're hardly there. Then because you're always working late, you don't have the time to exercise. And if you get a few minutes for yourself, you want to rest or you just want to watch TV. Exercise is the last thing on your mind, so it begins to affect your health. Can you get a picture of the ripple effect of poor time management? If you can see the picture, just type yes in the chat box. For some reason, my chat box is not coming up. So we see that time management, it impacts every area of your life. It impacts your physical health, your marriage, your family life. It impacts poor time management, impacts every area of your life. And the equal is opposite is equally true. The opposite is equally true. If you manage your time efficiently, then it will have a positive effect on the other areas of your life. But you know, if you don't manage your time properly, the pest shows up. And there it is on our screen. The pest that shows up and destroys everything. The pest factor that steals your time and productivity. And what is the pest factor? It's procrastination, excuses, self-sabotage, and TimeStealers. Let's talk about procrastination. Now, procrastination comes from the Latin word, pro meaning in favor of and cast meaning tomorrow. So it's that habit of continuously or always putting something off for tomorrow, for another time. I want to ask, do any of you struggle with procrastination? Just type yes in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you, Celine. Yes, thank you. Many persons struggle with procrastination, and if you do, there's nothing to be ashamed of, because the whole idea of being able to advance and progress in life, it first requires that we recognize the areas we need to change or improve in. And if you struggle with procrastination, you are not alone, because research by Steele 2007 indicates that about 26% of the population admit to being chronic procrastinators. Let me share a procrastination story with you. It's a story of baby turtle. And the purpose of this story is just to give you an idea of what happens when we procrastinate, the effect of procrastination. Now, one day, mommy turtle, daddy turtle, baby turtle went out for a picnic. And this story, my source is, I believe his name is Shamim Rafiq. I hope I didn't pronounce it poorly. He's an international trainer. So they go out for a picnic. And then suddenly it looks like it's going to rain. So mommy turtle says to baby turtle, can you please go home to get the umbrella? Now, baby turtle loves to relax and loves to procrastinate. Baby turtle says to mommy turtle, no, why don't you go and get it? Daddy turtle gives baby turtle the look. And for those of us who have kids, or even we can remember when our parents have given us that look that instantly changes your response. So baby turtle says, okay, I'll go get it, but you have to promise that you won't start lunch without me. So mommy turtle assures baby turtle that they won't start lunch without him. Baby turtle leaves. After 10 minutes, no baby turtle. After an hour, no baby turtle. The whole day passes and still no baby turtle. So mommy and daddy turtle begins to worry. Anyway, mommy says to daddy turtle, well, since he's not here, we may as well eat. And as soon as they were about to eat, baby turtle pokes his head out from behind the tree and screams, don't eat. If you eat, I won't go. I know you will do this. That's why I was hiding and watching what you will do. Now, although mommy turtle assured him that she would wait for him, he chose to hide behind the tree and rest. And he wasted everyone's time, ruined the picnic that was planned because he didn't take action. Now, I know it sounds like a silly story, but the takeaways that we can get from this story is that when we procrastinate, we always procrastinate about something we know that we have to do. It is not something that we don't know we have to do. We know that we have to get it done. When we procrastinate, it impacts not only ourselves, but it impacts others. Think of if you're working in a office environment and you're supposed to produce a report on time, but you've been procrastinating and putting it off for the last minute. And as a result, perhaps the quality of work you produce is not your highest quality. And it has impacted the team to be under pressure to get it up to standard because maybe it's required by the managing director, or maybe it's required for a board meeting. So it impacts not only ourselves, but others. And of course, it dampens your results, where you could have gotten much better results. You could have been more productive. You could have produced your best quality work if you had only allocated sufficient time to get it done. Now let's look at our own lives. Let's come back to reality and forget baby turtle a bit. What are some of the things we procrastinate about? And some of these things I've taken from my personal life that I've learned and tried not to do. And I'm sure you can relate to it. Completing our tax returns. Folding the clothes. The clothes they're piling up on the chair and we keep procrastinating. I'm going to fold it tomorrow. Going for that jog or walk. organizing the garage, preparing the major report, writing a book, or perhaps you want to start a business and you've been putting off writing that business proposal. Or maybe you work from home and you've been putting off the filing that you have on your desk. Can any of you relate to this? Just type yes in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you. So what does that previous list tell us? Again, it tells us that we are aware of what needs to be done. We are procrastinating about something that needs to get done. And the impact of procrastination is that it places significant stress upon you. You suffer from anxiety, especially if it becomes, like the study revealed in the previous slide, chronic procrastination. You can suffer from anxiety. It impacts your happiness and makes you eventually feel like a complete loser. And let's look at stress. Like we use the example of the report you have to produce, or even right now, the things to do list that you have right now in your business, and the essential things that you've been putting off. It stresses you out when you see that your deadline is drawing close, when you see that you need to respond to that customer. And that stress can contribute to depression. You suffer from headaches, and it can even go as far as giving you the risk of heart disease. So if you find yourself suffering from stress because you procrastinate rather, you should not ignore your stress level. Let's talk about anxiety. Perhaps you have a presentation to make, but you've been procrastinating about preparing for your presentation. And this anxiety causing you to feel anxious will affect your overall well-being. So you see, being clear on your goals. What is it that you want to achieve? And setting out a proper plan to achieve it will help you to get rid of some of that stress and anxiety. Let's look at how procrastination affects your happiness. If you continue to procrastinate, you will definitely feel poorly about yourself and your abilities, or even your future. And whereas when you meet your goals, then you feel a great sense of accomplishment. Think of a time where you had an important task to do, and you completed that task on time. You reached your goal. I'm sure right now you can feel the freeze within you. You can feel the delight in your heart. You can relive that emotion, that sense of accomplishment when you did what you were supposed to do. Because procrastination, what it really involves is listening to that inner voice that says, I don't feel like, I'm not in my mood to do this. I'll do it some other time. And when you continue to do this, that it becomes a habit, it makes you feel like you're not in control of your life. And this is how you can end up feeling like a loser. But you're not a loser. And you are capable. It is just a matter of making that shift and getting rid of this bad habit. And I just want to interject one common mistake. You know, in discussing with some persons, and even in my research, I've found this, that many people believe that when you commit an unfinished goal to the next day, it's procrastinating. But it is not procrastinating. If you have to recommit an unfinished task, it's due to poor planning or perhaps unforeseen events. But that is not procrastination. Procrastination is about knowing what you have to do and listening to that inner voice that tells you, do it later. So right now, I want you to say no to the procrastination voice. You know, Dawson Trotman says, the greatest amount of wasted time is the time not getting started. Now let's move to the second PEST factor, excuses. And excuses are reason given to justify a fault. And excuses are some of the things that cause us to procrastinate. How many of you often make excuses? You can share it in the chat box. Just say yes or no. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, I'm seeing yeses. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Celine. I'm seeing yeses. Yes. Thank you, Suzanne. We all make excuses sometimes. But the most important thing is identifying why we make those excuses. And if those excuses are impacting upon our productivity and our ability to achieve our goals. Now, some common excuses are, I don't really need to do this right now. I'll do this later. Or the famous line, I'll do this after. It's not the right time. Something came up. But what happens is that these excuses, they will prevent you from reaching your business or professional or personal goals, especially if the excuses that we are making are relating to the 20%, those tasks or activities that are important for us to achieve the results that we want to attain in our business or whether it's a professional or personal life. So in most cases, excuses emerge because our why for our goals are not firmly established. Now, it is difficult to talk about time management and not address goals. Because like I mentioned in the beginning, time management is all about not just managing your time, but managing yourself and what you do with your time. And what you do with your time is achieve your goals. Now, we have goals in all different areas of our life. We have goals in our personal life. We have financial goals and family goals and business goals. We have social goals, and the list goes on. But when our why for that particular goal is not firmly established, then it becomes easy when the inner voice, that inner critic that makes you want to listen to it, to put it off for later. When that inner voice speaks and you listen to it, you'll be more susceptible to listen to it because your why is not firmly established. But when you are clear on your why that goal is important, your big why do I need to complete this task? Because it will contribute to customer satisfaction. Why do I need to complete this task? Because it is an income generating activity. Why do I need to fulfill this task? Because it is essential for my family balance. Why do I need to accomplish this task? Why do I need to start my exercise routine? Because the doctor has said that I'm beginning to suffer from high cholesterol. I need to start exercising and keeping an eye on my diet. So we need to establish the why for our goals. Be clear on your why. And it is only then that you can make the change that you need to make. Are you ready for change? If you're ready for change, type yes in the chat box. Thank you. To make change, we have to admit that we need to change. When we admit that, that is the first step, the honesty. Then can we take the steps that are needed to be taken in order to make sustained changes and have sustained results. Let's move to the third PEST factor, self-sabotage. Now, self-sabotage is really a behavior that hinders you from attaining your goals and making efficient use of your time. There are several self-sabotage factors. For example, procrastination is one of them, a negative mindset, negative self-talk, comfort eating, stress eating, where some persons are just so self-critical, or you struggle with unhelpful thoughts, and much, much more. I'm sorry, I'm not using the raise hand feature, so if you would just type your question in the chat box, that'd be great. I will certainly answer your question. So it would be impossible to address all of these factors in tonight's training and today's training for some of you, of course, in the US. But let's talk about negative mindset and negative self-talk. Do you agree, before we do so, that self-sabotage can hinder your productivity? Do any of you think that your negative mindset can hinder your productivity? Or negative self-talk can hinder your productivity? Yes, I agree. Thank you. Indeed, it can. Let's get into it. We all know that mindset is really our philosophy of life, and we have an understanding that it has been formed from since our childhood years, and persons in authority have contributed to the formation of our mindset, what we believe, what we hold to be true. And one thing that's critical is that our mind works with us to accomplish or fail to accomplish our goals. And this is a point stressed by one of Caroline Boyce is her name. She has a book on neuro-linguistic programming. And she stressed that your mind works with you to accomplish or fail to accomplish our goals. And when we can come to the realization of how powerful our mind is and how powerful our thoughts are, believe you me, we will not think one negative thought again. There's a research that shows that we process, I believe it's 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And most of those thoughts are automatic. Can you imagine if we do not keep a check on our mind, if we do not keep a check on our thoughts, the wreck that we will become? So it is very essential to keep a check on your mindset, to keep a check on your thoughts, to keep a check on your self-talk. Now, someone with a negative mindset is someone who will have a tendency to always see the worst case scenario. Can any of you identify anyone that you know who has a negative mindset, that they always see that things will never work out? They always have a negative prediction about their life or about things around them. Or they suffer from low expectations. Because a particular job didn't work out, then no other job opportunity is going to work out for me. So self-sabotage can affect you. It can affect your productivity. Just let me check the chat box. Yes. Thanks for the honesty, Lloyd. Yes. And you know, if I were to ask the question, how many of you struggle with a negative mindset? Perhaps many people will say, I don't. But I am the trainer tonight, and I can be honest with you and say, I struggle with it sometimes. You know why? We can be a positive person, and I am a very positive person, but you could struggle with a negative mindset in a certain aspect of your life. You could be a positive person, but you struggle with a negative mindset with regards to relationships. And why? Like I've mentioned, how your mindset has been formed over the years and your past experiences has caused you to have a negative expectation when it comes to relationships. Oh, I'm 50, I'll never get married. Oh, my first marriage didn't work out. Things will never work out for me. Something's wrong with me. You can be a positive person and you can have a negative mindset when it comes to your own performance and productivity. I just can't do it. I'm not like Sheila. I'm not like Jack. So we all struggle with a negative mindset, but what's essential is being able to catch the inner critic, being able to stop the trend of thought in its tracks. And I go into these things deeply in my coaching program. Let's talk about negative self-talk. Now, the negative self-talk is that negative inner dialogue that takes place. Remember the example of 50,000 thoughts being passed through in our minds throughout the day? And most of those thoughts are automatic. What are some of the self-talk that you've been saying to yourself, or perhaps automatically passing in your mind? It can make you feel like you don't have what it takes to overcome your challenges. It can make you feel like you don't have what it takes to succeed, to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, to become prosperous in business, to connect with your clients, to grow your clientele. And the thing about negative self-talk is that if you keep telling yourself that you're not good enough, if you keep telling yourself that you're never going to make it, then you will most likely stop trying. If you recall the quote that I used by Caroline Boyce, where your mind works with you to accomplish or fail to accomplish your goals. It's a true thing, because when you tell yourself that you can do something, it's like you give instructions to your mind, your subconscious, And it works with you where you find opportunities to be able to do the thing that you want to do. But if you tell yourself you're not going to make it, if you tell yourself you're not good enough, if you keep procrastinating and putting things off, then you will lose your motivation. You will lose your drive, your energy, and you will begin to feel like you definitely can't succeed. And this negative self-talk, it will fuel now those unhelpful thoughts. Now, unhelpful thoughts can be described as that destructive thought pattern. There are about 15 or more unhelpful thoughts. And of course, it's impossible to cover them all in tonight's training. So I just addressed a few here. And the thing about the unhelpful thoughts is, throughout your life, depending on the experiences that you've had, that thought pattern has become ingrained in your mind. And it becomes an automatic response to certain situations. And I'm going to give an example. First, before I give that example, I want to ask you, would you like to know how unhelpful thoughts can hinder your productivity and progress? Thank you, Lloyd. He said he's never seen it that way before. Thank you. I'm glad that you're getting some value out of this training. Thank you. I'm seeing some yeses. That's great. Let's look at fortune telling. That's one unhelpful thought. Now, that's the habit of predicting the future in the absence of facts. And what's strange about this is that our predictions are usually negative. Like the example I used with this individual who went for or has been to a number of interviews and they didn't work out. And he or she is fortune telling. He has an interview coming up tomorrow. It doesn't have to be an interview for a job. It could be an interview for a business proposition that you have. It could be an interview for whatever, something important in your life. But because of your past experience, you have a certain pattern of thinking that already you're predicting subconsciously in your mind that it's not going to work out for you. And that prediction is negative. And I'll give an example. At work, you decline an opportunity to give a presentation at work, or maybe to collaborate with some persons on a major product because of that unhelpful thought pattern where you believe things never work out for you. Or some persons tell you, I always mess things up. And what they're actually doing is, without realizing it, is that unhelpful thinking pattern is impacting the opportunities that they can get in life. It's impacting their ability to be motivated and be more productive and achieve their goals. Let's look at comparing ourselves. I remember a couple of years ago, I had my first child. I was weighing 89 kilos and I had to lose 20 kilos because I had been to the doctor. I was beginning to suffer with a number of things, vertigo, all sorts of things. I was suffering with pain in my knees. And I had to start an exercise routine. So I joined the gym and I was energized and motivated because I've set my new goal. But my why was not big enough in my mind. I joined the gym. And when I went to the gym the first time, the second time, I was more interested in comparing myself with everyone else who had the perfect figure inside of there. And I was the only one looking like a whale. You know, I compared myself. And as a result, I stopped going to the gym. I stopped exercising. I became depressed. But then I found it within me. My why became clear. I needed to lose weight for my health. And I changed how I looked at things. I'm no longer on a diet, but I'm going to change the way I eat. So I no longer said, I'm on a diet because I tried all different things, all different powders because I'm on a diet. I no longer looked at it that way and I said, I'm changing the way I eat. And I started running on the road, not looking at anyone, just focusing while I'm jogging, keeping my goal clear in my mind. Because you see, comparing yourselves, it stirs feelings of inadequacy. It makes you feel like you're not able to. and it will inhibit any lasting change for a more productive you. And when I was able to stop comparing myself, I was able to succeed at the goals that I had wanted to obtain. I lost 23 kilos. I should have included some pictures here. Yes, but I did lose the kilos. So self-sabotage is very, very, very essential. It can impact your progress and your productivity. Let's look at emotional reasoning. Now, emotional reasoning is the habit of making decisions based on how you feel. You know, I think I'm fat, so I am fat. And during that era of my life, I felt that way because I thought I was fat. I believe I was fat. I am fat. And I can't change. Or some persons I've heard, I am a procrastinator. That's how I am. So I can't change. So this emotional reason really behind the procrastination, emotional reason is just one of the bases for procrastination and excuses. Because you believe yourself, I've always procrastinated. So I can't change. It's hard. I've always procrastinated. And that's just one of the reasons why we procrastinate. And of course, there are many other reasons which I go deep into in my coaching program. Of course, if I were to cover it all here, I might be keeping you here for hours. But another reason quickly is fear. Sometimes we procrastinate because we have a new challenge in front of us, and fear is what is causing us to procrastinate. And I've found one way to conquer fear is by being prepared. Another reason we procrastinate could be because our goal, our big why, has not been clearly established. Or some persons procrastinate because it's become just a bad habit. So let's look at the last common unhelpful thought. It's called mind reading. It's when you assume to know what other people are thinking in the absence of facts. And this is a very common one. It happens in relationships. But now I'm about to show you that it can even happen in the workplace. It can even happen in a business environment, where someone refuses to seek help from a boss or a colleague or a mentor or a coach because you assume that he or she doesn't like you. And this is one way it can impact your progress and your productivity. So I'd like you to share with me right now, if you have a greater insight into how procrastination, excuses, self-sabotage impact your time management, productivity, and your goals. If you can see that much clearer now, just type yes in the chat box. Thank you. I'm seeing yeses. That's great. That's wonderful. 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 Let's move on to the last PEST factor, and that's time stealers. Those things that distract you from your goals or what you're supposed to be doing. And some of the common time stealers which inhibit your productivity: multitasking, no daily plan. I'll get into each in a while. Personal disorganization, perfectionism, interruptions. If you have a difficulty saying no, or if you're someone who spends excessive time on social media. Let's get into the multitasking myth. And I've heard that multitasking helps you to get more done. Now, multitasking has its time and its place. For instance, I could be washing clothes in the washing machine, and while that is being done, I'm conducting research for, let's say, a Facebook Live or YouTube video. It has its time and its place. But in your business or in your workplace, when you need to focus on complex tasks that require your attention, I recommend that you do not multitask, but that you give that task your undivided attention. You will be more efficient. You will produce your best quality work if you do not multitask. Because one of the myths is, when I multitask, I'm more efficient. There's an art to doing it. No. If you multitask when you have important tasks to complete, you will not produce your best quality work. No daily planning list. Now, my research showed that some people believe that you overwhelm yourself when you write it all down, and that the to-do list should really be for work. Some persons have a to-do list for work only. How many persons have a to-do list for work only, just work only? I'm not here to embarrass anyone. But do you have a to-do list for work only? Type yes in the chat box. Some persons believe a planner will fix my life. Imagine. Thank you, Lloyd. He should not be multitasking during that time while doing an operation. So once upon a time, I did have a to-do list only for work only, and then I had one for home. I had two separate lists. And another multitasking myth, I will get into this, is a planner will fix my life. So let's talk about you overwhelm yourself by writing it all down. You do not overwhelm yourself by writing it all down. It gives you clarity because you'll be able to get a bird's eye view of the things that you need to do. Now, even if your list is a list of 30 or a list of 40 for the month, but you're not doing all 40 things, you're prioritizing. And that's why with time management and managing yourself better, you have your overall goals. You know, there's something called the 365-30 method, where you start with your annual goals. Then you have your quarterly goals. Then you have your monthly goals. So I have my monthly goals as an example. And then I set weekly targets, which are geared to achieving that monthly goal. And then you're working backwards. So for your weekly target, okay, you set all the things that you need to do for the week, you write it all down. Because what happens if you don't write it all down? You will forget. And some of us believe that our brain is a wonderful computer that just will remember everything. You will forget. So you write it all down. But don't overwhelm yourself by looking at the long list, because remember, your next step is prioritizing. And you may even find that as you prepare your to-do list, that there are activities that you can outsource, that there are activities or tasks that you can delegate. And you may even find that there are tasks that you don't need to spend any time on. You may even find that there are tasks your kids can do. For example, my 15-year-old son could vacuum. So now let me get into the to-do list. I had one for work and one for home. But let me share something personal with you. What happens when you have two separate to-do lists? What happens is that it signals to your brain, and for some reason, if you agree with what I'm about to say, I just want you to type yes in the chat box. For some reason, work always seems to take precedence in our mind. We always believe in our mind, in our subconscious, work is more important. So we make more of an effort of getting the things on our work to-do list done. And of course, there are other factors which impact that, because we have deadlines. Our income is based upon that, you know. So it signals to your mind that work is more important, and then you pay less importance to the home task, the personal task that you need to get done. So what happens when I started preparing one to-do list? What happens is, what I do is every day I have my work items and my personal items in one list. So I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks that I need to get done for work, but that list also includes going for my morning jog, or my elliptical trainer, or spending time with my 2-year-old, or cooking. It has everything on the list. And what I have found, my dear friends, I have found that since I have one to-do list, I am better able to keep that balance in my life, because in my mind now, work is not my sole priority. Can you see any light in what I'm saying? I understand, yes. I understand. Thanks for sharing. I understand that Yes, you feel guilty if you're not working, but the important thing is time management. And when we started the webinar, I said, it's not just about managing your time, but managing yourself, what you're doing with your time, so that you can get more done. And also, I would like to add, so that you can find time to do the things that you love. Because if you don't have that balance in your life, you will begin to feel stressed at some point. You will begin to feel overwhelmed at some point. You will begin to feel burnout, or it will have a ripple effect upon your family. And then you will definitely need to readjust the way you spend your time. So that's one change that I made in my life. And perhaps if you were to try it, I encourage you, because the wonderful thing about time management is that you can never learn all there is to learn, and that's it on the subject. There is always something new that you can try. And when you do try it, you realize, hey, this works for me. You know? And I have found that preparing that one to-do list has worked for me. I get up and I do my exercise. And one thing I love with my to-do list is putting that big red tick. I love to tick when it's done. And keeping that one list helps me to maintain that balance in my life. Some persons believe that a planner will fix their life. And we spend so much money on getting that perfect organizational planner. But a planner will not fix your life if you do not begin to organize yourself better and learn to manage your time. So let's talk about organization a bit. There's some personal disorganization myths. Oh, I'm disorganized. That's just how I am. I've always been disorganized. Or when I get organization system X, I'm going to be organized. No, but let me share with you how organization can affect your productivity and impact your goals. I'll use a practical example. Let's just assume that for those of you who go out to work, or maybe you do work from home, but you still have to go drop the kids to school, you have the school run, and you still have other things that you need to get done, you have meetings to attend, you know, and if you don't manage yourself better, you're always late for those meetings. And as a result of always being late for those meetings, you're stressed and overwhelmed because you did not prepare the children's lunch boxes and clothes and even your work clothes from the night before. In the morning, you're under pressure, trying to do everything in that short space of time, and you're already 15 minutes late, but you're supposed to leave the house at 7. It's 7:15, but you still want to leave the house at 7, if you get what I mean. You know, because you're putting yourself under pressure to still reach your destination on time. And when you arrive at work, or after you've done those things that you have to do in the morning to then start your work day if you work from home, your mind is stressed and overwhelmed. It will definitely impact your productivity. It will definitely impact your level of concentration. It will definitely impact the input, your ability to perform your deep work to the highest point. So organization matters. And if you're someone who struggles with disorganization, I recommend start with one small change at a time. For instance, just have one room that you decide you always leave organized. I have a rule, no clothes in the living room. So we don't pile the clothes on the chair so that you don't have that clutter around you. You have that space that you know is always organized. And you start with one small change at a time. Because when you are organized and you have a place for everything, let's just assume you're working from home. You have a place for everything. You know where to go to get your files. You know where to go to get your stapling machine. You know where to go to get X, Y, Z. You can do your work more efficiently. But let's just say you need to write that blog, that article. But you printed out some research a couple days before. And you're searching through the pile of papers on your desk trying to find that research. And it has costed you 15 minutes looking for that research that you printed out. Then when you do find it, you're under pressure because you're time constrained. Perhaps you have a deadline. Perhaps you need to complete it by a certain time because you have another task that you have to complete. So disorganization can impact your productivity and how you manage your time. Let me just have a look at the chat box. Excellent. We have to set boundaries. Excellent, Lloyd. We have to set boundaries. And when we set those boundaries, then we're able to manage ourselves better and manage that time that we're spending better. And you know, one thing I just want to interject here quickly. When we think of time management, so many persons just, when they think of time management, work comes to our mind and work only. But time management is all about getting that balance in our life. When you look at persons who have been successful, you know, we look at the athletes and they share with you how important it was for them to adopt the right mindset, how important it was for them to get rid of the limiting beliefs and the negative self-talk, how important it was for them to manage their time better to ensure that they get the training done. But they will also share with you the contribution that their family made. For instance, Serena Williams recently shared the contribution, how her daughter impacted her, the birth of her child, how that impacted her even while she was training, how that motivated and inspired her. So finding that balance, time management is not just about work, you know, managing yourself better so you could be more productive at work. But we want to have productivity even in our personal life. So when you spend time with family, like Lloyd shared, you have those boundaries, and that time is well spent. Let's look at the perfectionism myth. And of course, we know perfect means it has no faults. And you work hard to achieve that. And some people, I have heard that I'm a perfectionist and I'll always be a perfectionist. But I'm sure we've all heard of the Pareto principle, where it states that 20% of your effort produces 80% of your results. And sometimes you get so caught up with the busy work, the 80%, and we procrastinate about the 20% that really matters. Or we get so hung up with being perfect, achieving that level of perfection, and that's why we haven't finished our book yet. Or that's why it took us 3 days or 4 days to complete the blog, because it is not perfect. But that will hinder your productivity. You produce your best work, and then you move on to those tasks or achieve those goals that need to get done. Let's talk about interruption myths. I was reading a report. I can't remember. I was reading it online somewhere. And everybody has varying views, and I respect everybody's views. But this person was saying that we shouldn't look at getting phone calls at work and persons coming to you in the office for impromptu meetings. We shouldn't look at it as interruptions. And I respect that point of view. But it is an interruption. Yes, it's part of the job, but it's a part of the job that is an interruption. And we need to manage our interruptions because they are time stealers. For example, you have a time that you receive phone calls. You have a time of the day that you check your emails. When you're working on your complex task, your most important task, you turn your email notifications off. You turn your ringer off. You have a time for meetings. If you are a manager, you have an assistant who can screen your emails. She can screen your phone calls. She can screen your meetings. You meet with your staff at a certain time during the day, and they know that they can bring all their questions at that particular time of the day. So these are interruptions, and they steal your time if they are not carefully managed. Imagine trying to sit down to complete something very important, and every 5 minutes the phone rings, the email pops up on your screen, you have to respond. You have to check your social media. Someone knocks on the door. So you have to have systems in place that you can manage the interruptions or these disruptions so that you can be productive. For example, you can have an email autoresponder that goes out and let people know that I will get back to you at a particular time if you're someone who is always overwhelmed with emails. So you have to have systems in place to manage your interruptions. Now, another time stealer is someone who has a difficulty saying no. And there are people who have a difficulty saying no, and there's nothing wrong with it. You admit it, and then you realize, I need to work on this. You know, because they feel they're a helpful person. And if they say no, then perhaps they'll be seen as incompetent. Or perhaps if you say no, you'll be burdened with guilt. But the truth of the matter is, there are some things that can be delegated. There are some things that you do not need to get involved in. You know, there is a quote by, his name is Christian Godefroy, John Clark. And he says, managing yourself better involves the art of asking the right questions. Managing yourself better involves the art of asking the right questions. Someone comes to you about something that they would like you to do. You ask yourself certain questions. Is this something that I need to do? Is this something that can be delegated? And to whom can I delegate it to? Or perhaps you can use reverse psychology, where you ask that person certain questions that causes them to come up with the answers. So difficulty saying no. If you have difficulty saying no, now is the time to address it, because it is a time stealer. Because you'll find yourself working on so many different tasks that do not contribute to your 20%. Let's look at unmanaged social media. Some person says it helps me relieve my stress. You know, it really doesn't interfere with my work, but yet still they don't miss a notification. Or some say I can handle it. But if you don't manage your social media, it's a time stealer. It will break your concentration. It will interrupt your productivity and will cause you not to produce your best quality work. So I want to ask you, my dear friends, do you have a better picture of how some of the time stealers, of those time stealers in your life that can steal your time and your productivity? Or perhaps I may not have mentioned a time stealer that's relative to you, but by listening to this training, it got you thinking and helped you to realize some of the time stealers that are in your life that impact your productivity and your ability to achieve your goals. Thank you. I'm seeing yeses. Thank you. Thank you. So what we've covered so far is what is time management, the PEST factor that steals your time. Would you like to know how to overcome those PEST factors? Let me get the chat box. I'm seeing yeses. I shall go ahead. Thank you, Lloyd. I'm happy that it has given you some clarity and that you found value. I will tell you more. I'm so excited and happy to be presenting tonight. So let me share now some tools to overcome those PEST factors. And I'm sure you will agree with me that you will be less overwhelmed and more efficient if you know how to overcome those PEST factors. So let's address that now. Tools to overcome the PEST factor in your life. And this is your action plan to increase your productivity and get more done. And I know this may seem, I wouldn't say unorthodox, but like it's a different spin on things. But you will see where I'm coming from. Number one, review your concept of life. Number two, review your concept of time management. Number three, recognize which aspects of the PEST factor impacts you. And number four, identify and eliminate your time stealers. So let's move to number one. Review your concept of life. Someone may ask, what does this have to do with my level of productivity and getting more done? Why? Because your life is all about fulfilling goals. You have goals in various areas of your life, and you manage your time to achieve your goals. So for instance, if you're an entrepreneur, you have your business goals. But you are an entrepreneur, but you also have a family. So you have relationship goals. If you have kids, you have that family goals. Of course, you have financial goals. So your life is all about fulfilling your goals. And that's why I've said, review your concepts of life. And you know, as part of my coaching program, what I get persons to do is I establish their life vision. When you establish your life vision, what is it that you want to achieve in your life? Then you begin to realize the things that you absolutely need to spend your time on. For instance, if you know, well, okay, I want to grow my business to X because I want to be able to spend more time with my family. So you have a financial goal, you have your business goals, but you also have your family goal. You want a more balanced life. Hence, you're managing your time better. You're trying to become more productive so that you can achieve those goals in those different areas of your life. And that is why I start with reviewing your concept of life, because it is very difficult, or rather you will stumble if you try to approach time management in the absence of goals. Because the life we're living right now, we're aiming to achieve goals in our life with our children. I want to bond closer with my son. He's a teenager. I want to spend more time with my baby before he starts school. I need to start my health routine. I need to spend more time with my partner. I've been working too much. Or I need to change what I spend time on in my business and spend more time on prospecting and my income generating activities because I need to grow my income in order to balance my family life. Do you get the picture? Do you get the picture of how your life really is about fulfilling your goals and meeting those goals? And hence, when you manage your time better, you increase your productivity, you will get more done, and you will achieve those goals in the various areas of your life. And consequently, you'll be a much happier person. Let's review your concept of time management as the second action plan. Like we mentioned from the start of the webinar, time management is about managing yourself and what you do with your time in the time that you have. Now, your concept of time management will influence how you value your time and how you use your time. Let me give an example. There are individuals who have never really thought about this, and they live life like on autopilot. They wake up, go to work in the morning, hop into their car, drive to work, do what they need to get done. After they've left work, if you're here in the UK, they go to the pub, get back home, sit down, watch TV, maybe watch their favorite shows, 2-3 hours. Just throw something in the microwave 2 minutes, have dinner, and the life is like on autopilot, and that's the routine. And they've never given any serious thought to the concept of time management. And as a result, that influences how they use their time. But when you begin to think about it and you begin to value your time, and we've already said that your time is worth money. Attach money to your time, a value, a monetary value to your time. I want to propose to you now, I want to submit to you right now. Rather, believe that your time is worth more than money. And when your concept of time management is such, my time is worth even more than money, then I'm going to manage myself better. And what I do with my time, even better. And then you begin to put certain systems in place, like organization, getting the children's lunch boxes ready the night before, your work clothes are ready the night before. You have a meeting the next day, you get your files and everything for the meeting ready the day before, and you begin to have a place for everything. You begin to prioritize. You begin to manage yourself better. You begin to spend time on your 20%. You don't subject to perfectionism. So when you have that renewed concept of time management, then you will spend your time even better, and you will experience an increase in your productivity, and you'll get more done. And then you will have time to spend on the things that you love, whether it's going for that walk or that jog or spending time with your family. Let's look at the third tool. Recognize which aspects of the PEST Factor impacts you. And this requires honesty. And I want to thank all of you who have participated tonight. I want to thank you for being here tonight, because you've been honest and you've shared some of the things you struggle with. And honesty and the desire to change is the only way that change can start. So you have to determine why you procrastinate. And I did share some of the reasons earlier on why people procrastinate. Why do you procrastinate and make excuses? And you write that down. And you use self-affirmations and eliminate those unhelpful thoughts to stop the self-sabotage. Write down, make a list of some of the negative self-talk or the negative thoughts that you have, that you entertain. I can never succeed. I'm not lucky like X. Or I don't have money, I can't do this. All these are limiting beliefs, and replace them with positive self-talk and positive self-affirmations and more empowering beliefs. And start with one change at a time. It's impossible to go through all of this now, but I'm sure you're getting the picture. And the last one is to identify and eliminate any time stealers that you may have. Get rid of the misconceptions about multitasking. Prepare one to-do list, and I can guarantee you there will be a shift in your subconscious. Work will not take precedence. Work and home will be just as important. And prioritize. Get organized. Get to have a place for everything. Put systems in place to manage your interruptions. Learn to say no by asking the right questions. And consider the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, which I alluded to during the training. So how many of you are ready and committed to take control, become more efficient and succeed at your goals? Type yes in the chat box if you're ready and committed. Thank you. I'm seeing yeses. Thank you. You know, Barack Obama says, if you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you make progress. And that is very true. You will make progress eventually. So what we covered today is what is time management. We looked at the PEST factor that steals your time. And we looked at the tools to overcome the PEST factor. Now is the time to stop what isn't working in your life. Continue with what's working for you. And you may need to start something new. I want to ask you right now if this training was a breakthrough for you. Did you get any value in tonight's training? Type yes in the chat box if you got any value. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm getting yeses. Do you want to get out of the grip that the PEST factor, procrastination, excuses, self-sabotage, time stealers have been having on your life? Yes. If you want to increase your productivity and get more done so you can find time to do the things that you love, would you like to do that? Do you want to experience more success in your business, professional, or personal life? Yes. Thank you. If I were to tell you right now that what I taught today is a very small percentage of all that I teach, and that we can go so much deeper into each of those PEST factors. We can go so much deeper into the limiting beliefs, deeper into the mindset, deeper into why you procrastinate, deeper into goal setting. Would you like to know more? Just type yes in the chat box if you'd like to learn, if you'd like to know more. You see, I've recognized in not just my career, but even in social media, that many persons struggle with the PEST factor. I boosted a post on my Facebook page that had over 300 engagements. It was a post about procrastination. And I was really shocked. Over 300 engagement, and I believe over 20 or 30 something comments. And I was really surprised. Many people struggle with procrastination, and some do not even realize how it impacts their life results. And one thing I focus on is not just your work or your business, but your overall life results. So I have designed a 6 weeks to transform your life through time management mastery coaching program. What you will learn in this program is getting the right mindset. You will develop your philosophy of time. You will discover what you really want. You will also identify your unhelpful thoughts. Go through a thought management guide. You will get organized. You will emerge with your success profile. You will overcome doubt and fear. Stay motivated and celebrate your small wins. Now, I know I've kept you for so long, so I will just run through the topics, the lesson topics. Getting the right mindset. We need the right mindset if we want to increase our productivity and manage our time better. Because I've demonstrated how the negative mindset can hinder your ability to succeed, can hinder your motivation, can hinder your perception when you don't even seize or grasp opportunities in your life. So you have to get the right mindset. It's also important to discover what you really want. Sometimes we spend our time on goals that are not important, on goals that don't really matter. So it's essential that you discover what you really want to achieve in life and you work towards those goals. Additionally, we will be addressing thought management because our thoughts impact how we feel, it impacts our decision making, it impacts our actions, and vice versa. So it's very important, and I can go deeper and present several examples of how your thoughts impact your emotions and then impact your behavior and your actions and impact what you say. So it's very essential to become more mindful of your unhelpful thoughts and negative self-talk. And certainly I've demonstrated how disorganization can hinder your productivity and your success. And I will help you to become more organized in not just your professional life, but even your personal life. At the end of this training, you will discover your success profile, what success means to you. Sometimes we find ourselves wanting to achieve success based on what we've heard, based on what we've known or seen on the internet. And we haven't really found what success means to us. What are your strengths? What are your unique abilities? And what the skill development plans you need to get the success that you need to get the success or attain the level of success that is relevant to you. You will overcome doubt and fear, which are two major destiny blockers. And I won't prolong it here, but we know that doubt and fear destroys your confidence. It destroys your ability to succeed. And it prevents you from taking those challenges that will help you to develop and grow. And one of the things that I've found, and which I'm sure you can attest to, when we start out on goals, when we're working towards goals, whether it's in our business, our personal or professional life, it's very difficult staying motivated. So hence this program will show you how to stay motivated even when you don't feel like it. And importantly, celebrating your small wins. Some of us, we focus so much on the big wins and we don't celebrate the small wins. But it is the small wins that get you to your big wins. It's when you realize, hey, I didn't listen to that inner voice, that inner critic that told me I couldn't do it, and I pushed through my fear, and I did that Facebook Live video, and I did my YouTube video. I went and I presented to 50,000 people, or I went and I did that thing that was a challenge for me that I was afraid or most fearful of. You celebrate those small wins, because those small wins is what will get you to your big goals. And these are the results that you will get working with me when you join this program. You'll become more energized, you'll become more motivated, you'll have the tools to overcome limiting beliefs and fear and procrastination and excuses and all those self-sabotaging behaviors. You will become more confident and happier because you'll have a renewed concept of time, you'll manage your time better. And as a result, you will get more done. You will eliminate stress. You'll have a calmer mind because you're more organized and you're more efficient. Now, considering all this value that you get, would you like to work with me personally? Yes, I'm seeing yeses. And if you would like to work with me personally, this is how I'm going to help you get results. I have over 20 assessments or homework. It's 4 big time management coaching books that I've designed myself that consist of over 20 assessments, 6 weekly group coaching calls for the 6 weeks, 3 hours of audio training, access to e-learning resources like the Organized Mind, access to my newly launched Facebook group, plus you will get unlimited email access to me. Because you see, when you transform your life through time management mastery, some of the practical benefits that you can see in your life, you can, if you work, you can get promoted because you will have a success profile, you'll have your skills development plan, you'll be working on the goals that really matter. You get clarity in your business. And as a result of getting clarity in your business can become more profitable. If your goal is to have a balanced family life, you will achieve that. If your goal is to actually find time to do hobbies that you used to want to be involved in. I mean, so many of us, we've gotten so caught up in work and we've forgotten that old hobby that we enjoyed so much, whether it's playing the guitar, whether it's going for fishing. These are some of the practical benefits that you can achieve through this training. And the total value of this training is £3,997 in terms of value. But of course, you won't be paying that price today. If you were to join this program today, you'll only be paying a one-time payment of £149. And as a matter of fact, if you enroll, you will also get the following extra bonuses. You get the full slide deck of what I taught today. You get another self-confidence ebook, a free 30-minute session, and a personal questioning to help you with that introspection. And this brings the value up to $4,892. And this is great value, but you'll only be paying a one-time fee of £149. And if you want to sign up, here's the link. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I want you to consider this. When is it ever the perfect time? You know, when is it ever the perfect time to do anything? Tell me, when you had your first child, was it the perfect time? When you started your business, was it the perfect time? When you pursued that postgraduate program or further education program, was it the perfect time? There is never the perfect time. What is essential is taking the steps to make the change that you want to make. Albert says, it is easy to sit up and take notice, but what is difficult is getting up and taking action. So if you're an action taker tonight, now is the time. Change your mindset, how you think about your time. Get organized, because this organization has a cost to it. Get clarity on your goals and prioritize so that you focus on the tasks that matter. And increase your productivity, because what we want is to focus on quality over quantity. You want your performance to be focused on quality over quantity. So many persons believe that it's completing everything on my to-do list, or it's completing everything that needs to get done for the day. But when you submit that report, or when you submit whatever you need to submit, there are so many errors. It comes back with all those errors, and it costs you in your time. So it's quality over quantity. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. Just type them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So you can profit from this valuable offer. And I want to tell you right now that if you do the work, you will have some aha moments. You will definitely have some breakthroughs, because you will discover things that you had not thought about and see things from a different perspective, and how it had been impacting your life all along and you had not realized. So I want to thank you for taking the time out to join me on this training. Thank you for participating. If you have any final questions, now is the time to enter it into the chat box. Tell me, did you get any value of today's training? Any value out of it whatsoever? A new perspective, deeper insights, or perhaps you've identified things that you need to change or improve in your own life. Just type yes in the chat box if you got any value from today's training. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy that you do. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Ponder upon it and make the changes that need to be made, but one step at a time so you don't overwhelm yourself. I want to thank you for attending today's training. I'm happy to have been your presenter tonight. Thank you very much for participating and for sticking with me till the end. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye for now.